Welcome back, guys, and thank you for tuning in. Today we are going to be installing an oil catch can on 350Z/350Z. For those of you that aren't necessarily aware about what an oil catch can does or why it's used, we'll go over it for you. I'm assuming that you are aware since you've clicked on this video, but while I'm setting up, in case you aren't aware, we're going to send you on over to the virtual classroom to learn about oil catch cans. Alright guys, so welcome to our virtual classroom. For those of you that don't exactly know how an oil catch can works or what it accomplishes, we're going to go through it here for you. So as you can see, we do have our basic engine layout. We have our intake side, we have our exhaust side, and then we have our cylinder and piston where the combustion is going to happen. So this is our combustion chamber. At the base, we do have oil inside of the engine, and obviously as air is coming into the combustion chamber, the combustion reaction is going to create pressure, pushing down on your piston, pushing on the piston rod that's connected to the crankshaft, and then in so doing, obviously powering your vehicle. Now, as this combustion is happening over here, it's very powerful, and blow-by can be created. Blow-by is the reason why we are installing catch cans in the first place. So to understand that, what is happening here is that as the piston is being compressed by this forceful reaction within the walls of the cylinder, some seepage with air can actually pass through here, and that will enter the engine crankcase. Now, as this is happening, this will allow air to enter into the crankcase, exemplified by the color blue here. And this air entering in is going to pressurize this system. It'll create pressure. Now this air is also going to mix in with the oil that's already in the engine crankcase, and now you're going to have circulating oil particles mixed in with air particles with molecular bonds throughout the entire engine. And again, this creating pressure. Now you need to relieve this pressure, because if too much pressure is built up, the pressure has to go somewhere. So how is pressure relieved? It is relieved through the PCV valve, positive crankcase ventilation valve. This is installed on engines, and it is a valve system where you are allowed to create an opening that will basically take care of this pressurization. Now, where does this exit to? Well, you cannot have this pressurization exit into the environment, because unfortunately that would be bad for the environment. So what do car manufacturers do? They basically will reroute this blow-by. So via some sort of tube or a hose, which will reconnect with the intake. Now the problem here is that as the pressurized contents escape the engine crankcase, along with this air, you're going to have air particles traveling back to the intake side, and along with these air particles are going to be oil contaminants and other debris. Now, as you can imagine, when we have these oil contaminants and debris entering back into our intake manifold, is going to coat the intake manifold, is going to coat some of our other internal engine internal components, and it's going to enter back into the combustion chamber to be burnt off. Now this may not be so healthy for the engine, particularly if it's happening in high volumes. So what an oil catch can does is exactly what it sounds like. It's going to catch the oil contaminants and debris that is going to be flowing back into your engine, and it's going to trap it so that it's not entering your engine, and you have a much cleaner combustion and healthier engine components. Now, in order to do this, what you're basically doing is putting a can in the system here, like so. So this can is going to have an entry and an exit. Now, it's going to be, typically speaking, a baffled catch can, or it's going to have some sort of material in order to catch the contaminants and separate them, or just separate them via atmospheric differences in temperature and gravitational pressure. And what this will allow is for the catch can to catch your oil contaminants and other contaminants that will then sit inside of the catch can here, ready to be replaced at whatever replacement interval will be needed. And instead of these oil droplets and contaminants passing back into the system, you're now going to have only the air that passes, or majority of only air that passes back into the intake manifold and enters the combustion chamber, again for a much cleaner combustion reaction. And this, in a nutshell, is how an oil catch can works. Okay guys, now that you know exactly what an oil catch can does, how it works, and why it is important, it is time to locate our PCV valve system on the 350Z. For those of you that have this stock cover, you're going to want to get this out of the way. Bolt in here that holds it, one here, and one back here under the strut tower brace. Now, this one you can't really get out unless you remove the strut tower brace. You don't necessarily have to, so these three can come off, and then you could simply take the cap off and set this aside, like so. This will be plenty of room to reveal your PCV system, which is going to be the PCV valve right over here, following the hose, which connects right into here, which then goes into your intake manifold. Now, technically, on the 350Z, there's actually another system just like this on the other side, underneath the intake. However, this side is not really known to be an issue or as big of an issue with blow-by as this side over here. So most people that do catch cans on the 350Z will place one on this side. Technically, you could do two, place one on the other side, or do one that connects both systems. The product that we're going to be dealing with today is going to be designed to be utilized for just this system, and the placement of the catch can is going to be right over here in this space. So we're going to basically disconnect this hose, run a hose from here to our oil catch can here, and then run another hose from the oil catch can back to the line over here. So the next thing to do is to show you the product that we're going to be working with. Okay guys, the product that we're going to be using today is going to be from Mishimoto. Mishimoto makes a catch can setup specifically for the Z. It's specific to the Z because it comes with its own custom mounting bracket, which is going to replace the existing mounting bracket inside the car in that particular spot that you just saw. The product that we're going to be using today is going to be a Frankenstein type of set from the Mishimoto Z-specific product that I'm referring to. I'm going to put a link to the specific Mishimoto product in the description below, which you can purchase directly from Mishimoto themselves or from Concept Z or Z1 Motorsports. That particular set costs $260. Now what I did is I had, long story short, a friend who actually purchased the product that I'm talking about, but wasn't able to use it all because of fitment issues with his aftermarket strut bar and his aftermarket intake manifold plenum. So what I actually have is a piece of the mounting bracket that comes from the particular set that I'm talking about, as well as the custom pre-fitted hoses that again come from the set that I'm talking about. So I didn't need to purchase the whole set. So what I did is I purchased the Mishimoto compact baffled oil catch can. The compact baffled oil catch can is a bit smaller than the one that I'm referring to which I will put the product link. So all that means is that you might have to replace it or rather empty it in shorter intervals, but we'll see how that's going to be after I install it. This I will say is a very nice product when I got it. High quality. It actually has some decent weight to it, so make sure when you install this that you take proper measurements to have it nice and secure. Another reason why I like this particular oil catch can is because the fittings are actually aluminum and not nylon. A lot of other oil catch cans are going to use nylon, and this is a Baffled oil catch can. Now, you could buy a significantly cheaper oil catch can. This is $120 versus the $260 for the full set. You could buy a much cheaper one or a universal generic one, but just be cautious because some of these universal generic ones do not come with any baffling material inside, so you might not be catching as much of the oil and contaminants in it as you would like. You're still probably going to catch a decent amount, and it's still probably going to be beneficial because it'll catch the oil based off of differences in atmospheric temperature as well as gravity itself. However, these Baffled oil catch cans from Mishimoto actually come with a baffle or baffling system inside, as well as a bronze oil filter, which you can see right over in here. So they are, technically speaking, should provide superior catching capacity or ability, I should say. This also has, real quick to point out, a drain port on the bottom. So if you wanted to relocate your draining, you could do that if you wanted to. In particular in the Z, you could keep it in that space that we're going to be installing it in. There should be plenty of space for me to basically unscrew this and empty it when needed. Alright guys, so we do have our PCV valve out of the way, or rather the hose. So here is where it was, and here is where it would connect to, and you can actually see right away that there's oil residue on the top. I already have my bracket all set up, so the bracket that I showed you, I actually fastened to the bracket that's over here that holds the power steering fluid. So you can see 2 bolts and nuts holding it aside, and here it is from the other angle. You can see it right down there. Came out real nice and secure. So all we have left to do is to put our can and connect our hoses. So again, hose from here to the catch can, and another hose from the catch can back to here. Alright guys, so here is the finished project. Came out quite nice. Nice and secure, looks great in there in my opinion, and it was actually quite a breeze and quite easy to assemble with the pre-fitted hoses from the particular kit that I was mentioning. Cover is back on and we are good to go. Now, as you all know, the Z platform does burn / consume a lot of oil, and you won't necessarily be stopping that from happening with getting an oil catch can. However, you will be at least stopping a lot of this oil from entering back into the intake and into the combustion chamber. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions at all, please just drop a comment down below and I'll be sure to get back to you.